Starting off a little shaky, but Auburn finally gets it done.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast Reaction Edition. And guess what? We finally get to talk about another win. It's been like 6 weeks since we've got a chance to do this. Auburn takes down Arkansas 33-24. It started off not pretty, but you know what? They bowed their neck in the second half and they got it done. Made a quarterback change. We're going to talk about that. And man, this defense, holy cow. They're incredible. They're incredible. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, doesn't matter. They got it. So show them some love. Save big. Auburn licensed apparel. Get you some. We got to win. We're coming back home. You got to have some tailgate apparel. Not very many chances. You got 3 chances left at home. So show them some love. It's rowback.com. Auburn takes down Arkansas 33-24 in what started off the same script that you've seen 4 weeks in a row or 4 games in a row. Auburn, I'm sorry, I guess very similar to the last 2 games because the previous 2 games, Auburn didn't score on their first drive. So Auburn gets the ball, or first off, they kick off, they get a stop, they get the ball, they walk down the field and score. And that's kind of how all these games have started off. So you're like, man, is Auburn going to continue that? Or is it going to be a similar script? So Auburn walks down the field and score. They get another stop. They walk down the field again, and you're like, okay, man, this is going to be different. This is going to be a little bit different. They've got a good game plan. They get into the red zone, which is going to be the theme of today, is red zone issues. And there's a little bit of blame to go everywhere. But Auburn gets into the red zone, gets bogged down in the red zone, has to kick a field goal. And then Arkansas comes back and scores. They get a really big pass play for, gosh, I can't even remember how many yards. It was a long one. They kept sneaking their tight end, 88, out of the backfield. Doesn't matter where. They would sneak him out, and then this one was just like a busted pass that was like a 2-yard pass that Rayshon Pleasant slipped on the field, which was a theme as well, and he goes 58 yards for the touchdown. So it was sort of a busted play, but they scored, and then you're like, okay, how does Auburn respond? Well, they come back out and they punt. Arkansas scores again. Then we throw a pick 6, and you're like, oh, my gosh. They're going to lose this game. Like they saw a little bit of adversity in that goal to go, that red zone situation, and couldn't punch it in after, a really good 2 drives. You just couldn't finish off the second one, and then Auburn goes into the tank offensively. And it's just like, man, oh, man, you can't get out of your own way. Ends the half, you're down 21-10. And I think it's okay to think this way because of what you've seen in the past. I don't think there was much faith at all that Auburn could come back and win this game. After the interception, obviously we get the ball back with like 40 seconds left, and Ashton Daniels goes in. Didn't expect him to take us down the field and score, but that was a move right before half, and we're like, okay, is he going to come back and he's going to play the whole second half? And he did, and it was a little bit of a different situation in the second half, especially offensively. But we talked about it on the halftime show. I mean, you're almost talking about coaching changes. Like you're thinking about, my God, what's going to happen on Sunday? Because it was just a complete disaster. We had a on the interception drive, you actually had a pretty good drive. It was 9 plays, 60 yards. You get in that goal line situation, red zone situation, and we call an RPO, and Jackson decides to throw it, and they were just sitting on it. And the cornerback just gets it and goes, 90-something yards, it felt like, to the house. You saw Hugh throw the play sheet almost as soon as it left Jackson's hand, which is something Jackson hasn't done a lot of, is turn the ball over. But that's 2 interceptions in 2 games. And that one was a really crucial one because, again, that went from 3 points at worst to that was a 10-point swing just right there. Just the story of the season in that first half, man. The story of the whole season in that first half. We kept trying to run. I don't want to be too negative because we're going to talk about Ashton in just a second and all the good stuff that happened in the second half. But the field was clearly an issue. And when the field's an issue from sloppiness, from mud, from all that good stuff, it's really hard to go east to west and then plant and come up the field. It's really tough. It's much easier to just go north-south and then with a little bit of wiggle. And there's one particular spot on the field that was it must have been worse than others because we slipped quite a bunch there. But I think we really game planned and felt like we could get them with jet sweeps. And we just kept running them and slipping. Like that's just an impossible play. That's just an impossible ask to run full speed, lateral, cut up the field on this field that is not in good shape, to no fault of anybody. I mean, it's just rained there for like 2 days, and it rained all morning. It just seemed like the same book you've seen, same book you've read, same episode of your favorite show that you've seen over and over and over again. You go into half, and it's like, man, I don't even know what you do. What can you do? Can Ashton bring us back? Haven't seen him at all. Can Ashton bring us back? We're going to talk about him in just a second. We'll be back right after this. So Ashton comes out in the second half as the starter, and we get the ball to start off. And we have a really, really good return. And it's really funny because it was like Rayshon took just because he caught it like 1 yard into maybe not even a whole yard. Like he caught it just inside the goal line. And it was almost like he couldn't quite make up his mind if he was coming out. So it seemed really delayed. It's probably not nearly as bad as it felt. So he brought it out, and I can remember thinking, oh man, don't bring it out. You waited too long. I'm dumb, clearly. He has a 65-yard kickoff return. We get the ball in plus territory, which is the theme of the second half, getting the ball in plus territory. Auburn flipped the script a little bit in the second half. They really, really, really focused on running the ball with Jeremiah Cobb, and he ate. He finished, I think he had like 28 carries, if I'm not mistaken. 28 carries for 153 yards. Boy, oh boy, that felt good. That's like an old school Auburn box score right there. 28 carries, 153 yards. Couldn't get it in the end zone, which was to no fault of his. But yeah, that from then on, it was feed Jeremiah. Feed Jeremiah. We'll run Ashton a little bit, throw when necessary. You drive down, kick a field goal. Again, you got into the red zone and you couldn't score. Force a punt, and it's a bad punt, and you get to go right back down the field and you kick another field goal. There was no more touchdowns in the game except for a defensive touchdown. And we're going to talk about defense in a second because they're incredible. So you kick, I think, how many field goals in the second half? 4 field goals in the second half? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. You kicked 5 field goals in the second half. You never punted. You got a lot of really positive field plus on the plus side of the field opportunities based off turnovers and things like that. So when you get those, the only thing you can't do is screw up and not get points. So I got to give Auburn credit there. I got to give the offense credit there where they at least got the points. You got down the field and you got points. You didn't take bad sacks. You didn't have a lot of negative plays. You just kind of went about your business and you got points. And then when you do that, when you have a big play on defense like you had, it makes things that much easier. I thought Ashton, when we're talking about Ashton in general, when you actually look at the box score, you're not going to be able to tell a ton of difference, I don't think. He made good decisions. He was 6 of 8 for 77 yards. So he was efficient with the ball. Running the ball, he had a really pretty run where he broke several tackles. He looks a little bit more – he looks a little quicker, I think. I don't know what their 40s are, but to me, he looks a little bit quicker, a little bit more decisive. I can't say more physical because Jackson will run through a brick wall. But overall, when Ashton went in, it felt like there was hope. And it wasn't just from the fans. It felt like the defense felt like there was hope. And it seemed to have really light a fire under them as well. Hugh was asked after the game if Ashton is the guy moving forward. And he didn't answer that correct. Like he didn't answer that like a solid yes. I think he said they'll get back and they'll look at everything. But it's pretty clear at this point in time, you're going to have to figure out something for one of the games because you don't want to burn the red shirt. You got 4 left. He's played one of his games. So he's only got 3 games he can play in left. So you figure something out for that Mercer game. And then to me, you got to ride with Ashton. They believe in him. Whether that's right or wrong, I still think there's some mega issues on offensive play calling and decision making. Again, you don't have to look any further than the red zone. You could almost predict what was going to happen. Now, I will say this. There was either 2 or 3 possessions, and I joked about it on the live stream because it happened the first time, and we get tackled on the 9.5 yard line. So it's first and goal from as long as you possibly can have without getting a first down, without being able to get a first down. So it's the longest goal to go situation you can possibly have. And then the second time we get in there, we're on the 15 or 16 yard line and we're trying to get a first down. And I was like, please, Jeremiah, whatever you do, don't get tackled on the 10. Go down short of it or something. Don't get tackled on the 10. And I'll be danged if he didn't get tackled right on the 9.75 yard line. So you had 2 goal-to-go situations at the 10-yard line. And we did the same thing each time. We tried to throw a pass to start off with, which I don't necessarily hate. And the second time, Ashton almost scored on that one. He had a really good scramble, and Malcolm was open. Excuse me, Malcolm was open, and he kind of did the thing that I talked about where he just threw a rifle, and it was just a little bit too high, and that's just hard for the – it's coming in hot. He's got a laser. But, yeah, that was just that kind of luck, man. You got 2 goal-to-go situations, and you're on the 9.5 yard line. You couldn't punch those in. But, yeah, you threw a pass incomplete. You ran it for 5 yards, and then you couldn't score from 5 yards. We don't have very good goal-to-go play calling, I feel like. I don't know that it's play calling as much as it is we may just not have those plays. There's no, there's no rollout. There's no, sprint out with a tight end in the flat or a running back in the flat or those easy little drags or flood concepts or things like that. There's just really none of that. And I don't really know where that comes from or how you fix that. Our goal line offense is throw one up to a wide receiver or, hopefully you can run it in. And the second time that we got it on that 3rd and 5, we were going to try to run it a little bit closer and go for it. And then obviously you get a false start, which probably the false start probably saved us 3 points because I think we're going to run a jet sweep again. And maybe Eric gets in, but maybe he slips again too. Just getting a little, we were just super messy in the red zone, which we've been one of the better I think we've been one of the better red zone scoring offenses as far as when you actually get opportunities. I think Auburn's been one of the better scoring red zone offenses out there, but they were not in this game. And I think there's a number of things you could put that on. Ashton's first experiences as a quarterback this year, SEC game, really wet, bad field. And then you got to overcome adversity when, you're playing from behind. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that could go into it. And then you got the offense in general that it's just, I think some people are just, they have a lot of very justifiable questions about. Regardless, you got the spark on offense. You kicked a pile of field goals. Alex, my man, missed 2 for the first time in his career under 40 yards, comes back and kicks 6 field goals. I mean, and a couple of them were over 40 yards. It's good stuff there. Good story there. So, yeah, I think Ashton's going to be the guy moving forward. And he deserves it. Feel bad for Jackson, but the things that were always an issue are still issues. Took a big sack, probably when he didn't have to on the second drive, I believe. Just same old stuff. And eventually you were going to have to pull the trigger, and they did. And we'll see if it can create a spark to go. You got Kentucky coming up, which is winnable, obviously. And then you got Vanderbilt, it's going to be a booger, and you got to go there. So that's going to be a tough one, but you're going to be more talented than them. I don't know if you're better coached than them, but you're going to be more talented than them. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say the offense was just as bad in the second half as it was in the first half. And I can totally understand that, because if you look at it, I think you had more total yards in the first half than you did in the second half, because you got a bunch of short fields, and then you didn't do a ton with them. You didn't get a ton of yards when you had those short fields. And obviously you couldn't score any touchdowns. I think the biggest thing from the second half to the first half is committing to leaning on Jeremiah Cobb. And when you did that, good things happen. But you have to be able to throw the ball. You have to be able to pass it. You have to be able to work off of that. Run the ball to create plays for other people. Cam Coleman I kind of just blew right past that. An unbelievable catch to start the game. Just another one of those freak catches that he can make, that maybe sometimes we lean too much on that. I'd love to see him catch one wide open. That'd be cool. If we could just run a play where he could be running wide open and catch it and do something after the play, instead of every single play has to be a circus catch. Now, I can't complain too much about a touchdown, but later in the game, he gets dinged up, and he's going to have an ankle sprain that's probably going to be nagging for the rest of the season, I would imagine. He came back in, and you could see he was uncomfortable. They had it heavily taped. So we'll see how much or how effective he can be moving forward, but he's a freak, man. He deserves more, and he makes the most out of pretty much every opportunity that he's given. So much kudos to him. Eric Singleton had 2 catches for 56 yards. Cam had 2 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown. Threw it to the running backs a couple times that I liked. 1 to Omar, 2 to Jeremiah. There were some good things that you can build off of. But I totally understand if you're like, man, the second half was just not that good. You didn't score. There's no reason to be that excited. And I totally get that. But I think just the spark that Ashton provided, not necessarily just to the offense, but to everybody, was something that I think you could take and build off of for the rest of the season. That spark definitely, to me, bled over into the defense. And we're going to talk about the defense right now. I've had conversations with people that really want to try hard to say this defense is not elite, that this defense is not one of the best in the country. And it blows my mind. Like all you see them every single time is they go out, they handle their business, and they hold teams to way under their season totals every single time. That to me is a sign of a great defense. If I average X amount and I go up against you and you hold me to far less than what my average is, and you do it every single game with almost no hope of support from the offense, you do it every single game, you're a pretty dang good defense. Arkansas averaged almost 500 yards a game. Almost 500 yards a game. They had just barely over 331 yards. Arkansas averaged 37 points a game. They scored 24. We knew they would score that many points. And honestly, they didn't score that many points because one of it was the defense scoring. So in reality, you held the offense to 17 points? They scored 37 a game. This defense is incredible, man. They gave up a couple of big plays. Yes, they gave up the long touchdown pass because the dude slipped. Rayshon slipped, and when he slipped, he fell into another defender. It was just a freak play. Now, they did let their tight end, I talked about that earlier, they let their tight end get two big plays on them. That I think one of them definitely led to a touchdown or at worst a field goal. But other than that, man, they were harassing Taylon Green. They were spying him incredibly. I mean, I expected him to have at least a decent rushing game. He had 7 carries for 14 yards. They were hitting, man. They were hitting on defense. Xavier Atkins is phenomenal. He should be on every All-American list. 13 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 total tackles for loss. Your only 2 sacks, he had both of them. And he just made play after play after play after play. You had 5 total tackles for loss. He had 4 of them. He's incredible. And then enter Rayshon Pleasant. You know, there was a lot. You didn't really 100% know what to expect out of him as far as how much playing time he'd get, how effective he'd be. And, you know, he's been dinged up here. He hasn't been able to play there. And then the last 2 games in general, we've seen a lot more of him and Rayon Strader. Like, I don't know if Kayan is dinged up a little bit. I know Jay's been dinged up. I don't know if they're rotating for that particular reason or if they're just saying, hey, we're going to get these guys more reps, that they've earned it. He diagnosed 2 beautiful he diagnosed 2 plays beautifully, dropped in his zone, got underneath the receiver. The first one went for a touchdown, which was crucial. We won by 9, and we had a defensive touchdown. So there you go. Took it to the house, had a big kickoff return. He's up there just as much as Xavier Atkins as far as MVP of the game. And then he did it again later in the game. Another big interception. And then this one didn't super matter, but you're up 9 and there's like 2 minutes left or something like that, or maybe under 2 minutes. It was under 2 minutes. It was well under 2 minutes. It was about like a minute to go. And they threw another interception, and Kinsley Faustin picked one off. 3 interceptions there, all crucial right there at the end, that just sunk Arkansas. They do not allow teams to beat them offensively. They just don't do it. If we lose, it's because we can't score. It's not because we're going to get outscored. They're incredible. They play so many different guys, and you can't even hardly tell unless you're paying very, very close attention. You don't know who's in there on the defensive line. All you know is hardly anyone can run on them. They gave up 63 yards rushing, 2.7 yards a carry. It doesn't matter who it is. They're going to stop the run. They're going to tackle. They're going to get tackles for loss. They're going to make big-time plays when you need it. I can remember they had I think Arkansas was in a first and goal situation from like the 5 or something like that. And I think they either got a sack or big tackle for loss on Taylon Green. They just make plays. They're so good. They're so good. DJ Durkin is incredible. No matter what happens this year at the end of the season, I mean, you got to do whatever you can to keep him. If it's you, if it's another coach, no matter what, you got to keep DJ Durkin somehow, some way. The kids love him. They play hard for him. You never see these guys. You just never see them lay down. You just never see it. We've been talking, like expecting it. When's the dam going to break? It just doesn't break. So there's going to be a lot of people that were off. They were ready for a change. There's going to be a ton of people that are ready for a change. They're going to say, this game doesn't do anything for me. This game doesn't change anything. And I think there's a huge argument in support for that. And then there's going to be a lot of people that say they saw a spark. And let's see if there's something that you can build from here. Roll with Ashton here on out. And let's see if there's something you can build on from here to the rest of the season, and see if you can go on a little bit of a run, and try to create some positivity, maybe make some offensive changes, and see if it's something that you can hold the team together, add a few more pieces, and see what happens when maybe you make a few coaching changes on the offensive side of the ball. I get both sides. Regardless, the team was, I mean, you're down 11. You're facing adversity on the road against an SEC team, albeit not a great one. Really good offense, incredible offense, not a great defense, and you're able to get the win. I say enjoy. I say there's nothing wrong with enjoying a win. Absolutely nothing wrong. Those kids deserve it. That defense deserves it. If nothing else, the defense deserves it. So it's good stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff this week. We'll be live tonight, and then we'll have a whole week of shows as we get ready for the Kentucky matchup on Saturday, which is another winnable game. You win that one, you get to 5. Then you got Vanderbilt, who looks like they're really good. So that's going to be a top 10 matchup more than likely. I think they may have to play Texas this coming week. So that could be a tough game. But I mean, who knows? You may get a top 10 Vanderbilt team. A chance to knock them off. Then you got Mercer. That should be a win. And then, if you win the next 3, you're set, 7-4 with a chance to play Alabama for 8 wins? It's a long shot, but we'll see what happens, man. Guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.